Well, howdy, everybody. Yeah, I know not many of you expected me to be here, so I probably won't have many of you here live either, but well, that's fine. Kind of a impromptu session here. I might be joined by my dad and or Eric, and I actually want to offer for any of you who would like to come on, as long as I kind of know you a little bit at least. Maybe you can join the show and chat about a few of these topics as well. Today, I want to talk a little bit about, and we're going to be pretty short today. I think 30 minutes, 40 minutes, maybe less. We'll see how it goes. If there's anyone in the comment section, then it might make things a little more interesting. So if you're in the comments, if you're watching this, you can leave me a comment. Let me know what you would like me to talk about. If anything is on your mind, politics, weather, movies, music, whatever. I like talking about all sorts of different things, philosophy, yeah, you name it, we can chat about it. But first, I did want to talk about. I want to talk about death, but we'll come to that here in a bit. My wife's grandmother passed away 2 weeks ago now, almost. Really, really pretty amazing how that worked out. That my wife was able to be there, and also, yeah, just the impact that death has on you when you get to witness it. I also want to talk about Elon Musk and his crazy exhibition he had the other day with Tesla. They have what AI robots, they have self-driving taxis, pretty wild stuff. I'd be really curious to hear what you guys think about that as well. I have a pretty strong opinion on that. Again, I might be joined by my dad or Eric. We will see. Just kind of letting see if anyone comes in here. We've got 8 people watching. Hi to you, 8. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. Actually, reading a book right now. I mean, not quite on the right topic because I'm reading about Edward the Third at the moment. I'm reading about the Plantagenet kings. Henry the Fifth is, I believe, coming up soon, though. I don't think he was Plantagenet, was he? But he was in the Hundred Years' War. Really, another really, really interesting part of history. The history of the Hundred Years' War of Saint Joan of Arc, of Henry the Fifth. Really fascinating how really all sides really believed that they were fighting for God, and I'm sure many of them were. And well, we definitely got a saint from it, even though, of course, that's not why she was canonized, because of her holiness. Um, but very interesting time. Anyway, what was the last? I had something else I wanted to talk about today. Eric, where are you to remind me? See, this is why I always need Matt. Matt's the one who's always prepared. Oh, politics, whatever else comes to mind. So I don't know how many of you guys are on X, formerly Twitter. Hi, Mom. Mom, good to have you on here. Mom, you can always join me, of course. I know you're not one for spontaneous podcasts, I suppose. Mom is the queen of well prepped, well written stuff, but she's not as crazy as me to just hop on and prepare for hundreds of views on YouTube with very very little prep. I'm not saying my way is better. That is certainly the case. But let's see. I'm going to share with you now some of this crazy stuff from Elon Musk. So Elon Musk now, as everyone knows, owns what was formerly Twitter. He owns Tesla. I think he started out with PayPal, I believe, was his first company. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. He's worked his way up. I think he's the richest man on earth, or at least that we know of. And now he is coming out with Tesla self-driving robotaxi, a humanoid robot, and a robo-electric bus. This is from, I don't know who this lady is. I'm just sharing it because I saw this video on it. Jackie, Jwezee. I don't know her. And this is pretty wild. You can see the car here. That's nothing really new. The automated cars, self-driving cars. I think there's a lot of companies who are doing that, but they're saying what he's pitching, and he's saying they're going to start production in 2026, is that people can buy them and then use them as a business opportunity. So you can buy them for 30,000, and then you pretty much use them as an Uber that you don't have to drive, obviously. So you pretty much just buy the car and then sell it out to people who need a ride. Pretty insane and frightening, if you ask me. The bus, yeah, I think kind of, um, A little bit. Here you can see down here. I mean, it looks something like something from a Marvel movie, right? I mean, or iRobot or something. And it's pretty insane that these things that have been predicted for decades in sci-fi are coming true. And I think many of the people who wrote science fiction kind of imagined that they would come true. That's why I suppose it's sci-fi and not fantasy. This is the one that I find to be the
A
craziest. That's
robot
the
with arms and legs instead of a robot with wheels.
Now, I don't know if this video shows it, but
And,
they have a
we've made
video
a lot of
that they
progress
have at this
with
exhibition.
the Optimus.
One of these robots
And,
preparing
as you
and
can see,
pouring
we started
drinks.
with someone,
So
in a robot
he's
suit.
pretty much playing the bartender, and that's what
sort of that.
Musk is
And then we've
offering, that they
progressed
can.
dramatically year after year.
I don't know if this has. Am I talking over the
So
sound
if
here?
you extrapolate this,
A little bit, yeah. Sorry, Elon Musk. Pretty wild. And I don't know again if they show the bar scene, but maybe I'll find that later. And it's pretty crazy. 23 people watching. That's awesome. Boy, on a Friday afternoon. Hey everybody. How wild is it where we are with technology? And I guess that's what I'd really like to ask you guys. I'd love to have someone to bounce this off of. Dad, Eric, anybody, mom. What are our thoughts about this? I know there are people who think that it's any sort of moving forward or progression, or innovation is a good thing. And I understand that way of thinking, absolutely. Um, and I'm absolutely against it. I mean, I am maybe what you would call an absurd traditionalist to a point. I mean, I'm not riding a horse. I do have a car. I have electricity. I'm doing a YouTube channel. But I suppose to me that there seems like there's got to be some line that we shouldn't cross, right? Shouldn't there be some line? And I just think that this idea that robots are going to do all of our work they're going to drive for it. You can buy this car and just send it out and it'll make money for you. I mean, it sounds cool. It does. I actually like driving, so I would miss that. And, they're saying, I think Musk is saying in 20 years we won't have any um, manually driven cars. They're all going to be automated. And I think that'd be very sad and very scary, because this is also part of it that not even talking about being traditional, or giving away some of our freedoms, I suppose, or just even the fun of driving. What if it gets hacked? Like, I just feel like they don't talk about that enough. What if it gets hacked? It's like with these smart cars. I think even hey, I have a new Toyota. It's a diesel, but it has a big old computer in there. What's stopping someone from just saying, no, Kevin, you've had your allotted driving time for the week, so boo. I think they can do that with like every modern car, right? And someone tell me if I'm wrong. Again, I'm no mechanic. That's a problem. They're taking away all of our autonomy, and they're trying to even replace bartenders with robots. Again, I understand how cool it is, how sci-fi, how wow, I could own a robot. I could have a robot to make me drinks or clean up the trash in the house. They're going to get more and more insanely, creative, or they're going to be able to do more and more things as we go. Of course, they can pour drinks. What's stopping them from picking up the laundry, right? Sounds good. And I got 3 little kids running around the house. Phew. Man, I'd take a robot right now. Moms out there, I'm sure you're hearing me, right? Let's see what mom has to say. Speaking of moms, she says, back in the day, I would have wanted a Rosie from the Jetsons, but I think that we have enough trouble now from the dehumanization of the world. When all our jobs are taken by robots, what do we do? Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And I think, and again, I think it's, and Musk is also the guy, he's building spaceships and he's trying to send people to Mars. And I'm all for exploration, and even planetary exploration, if we can do it. Yeah, I like that thought of going places we've never been. I think that's a nice idea. But if you think about it, the exploration back in the day, that was part of it. But a big part of the exploration of, say, Christopher Columbus was maybe maybe not him, but the idea was to spread the Catholic faith. It happened in Mexico, it happened in the US, it happened all over the world. If we're talking about the Europeans. Oh, that's true. I didn't think that the Fatima conference would be this early. See, I should have checked the schedule. I suppose I won't be long. I won't be long. I got to get you on one of these podcasts though. St. Anthony Padua Radtrad. I need a better name for you too. It's like with Intruebo. It's like, hey, guy, the Earth is flat. Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, if the Earth is flat, then I suppose that makes going to Mars even more interesting. But again, I guess my point being that exploration. Or I guess if you think about it, that this idea that we need to go to different frontiers. So back in the U.S., you're living in the East Coast, and it's getting kind of cramped. You're like, hey, look, there's so much space out there. It's dangerous. Nobody knows it well. There's so much things out there that's unknown, undiscovered. But there's space out there for me to go and to build a life. And that there's something beautiful in that, I think, right? I think to kind of control the world that God gave us. So I think that type of exploration is good. But Mars, okay, if you want to go and set foot on Mars or the moon, okay. I think I respect that. And I think it's a an awesome thing to attempt as long as it's safe enough. Again, I guess the morality could be a little iffy there, but the idea of trying to colonize Mars, why? I mean, like, what are we doing? Why do we need to colonize Mars? And I was joking with Eric the other day. We were talking about Mars, and I was like, it's like. First of all, I didn't remember if it was hot or cold. I need to go back to my third grade science class, I suppose. But I was like, why would you want to go there? It's like trying to settle an entire planet that's like Tucson. So a cold Tucson that might have water. Why? What's the point here? Now, again, if you're going to just go and plant the flag on it and say, America's been here, no one else has, I respect that. I think we need to shoot for big things, try to achieve something. All right, build rockets, cool. Settle Mars? What? I mean, it's silly. I think that's kind of what I see. And like Musk, I mean, a lot of people love him now because he's a big Donald Trump guy, and I think that he has done some good things with Twitter, some bad things too. There's a whole heck of a lot of pornography on Twitter, so I can barely be on there. You have to delete and delete and block and block and block, and it finally gets a bit cleaned up. But that's a problem. And I think this whole idea of, well, it's more free. Well, yeah, that's not all good. Yeah, as mom says, we have plenty of challenges right here on our own planet. What do we gain from space exploration? I think it's a waste of time and money. Yeah, I agree, mom. And I would say, hey, if Musk wants to do it, it's his money. So that's not public money. So okay, I would say absolutely. If I was a multi billionaire, I would maybe go and feed the hungry. I don't know. Maybe go and spend a billion on fixing the infrastructure of a country you love. Why are you spending all of your money on Mars exploration? I don't know. I'm with you, mom, and I don't think it's not devious or anything. And again, if it's his money, then okay, cool. But this idea of robots and stuff, and Musk again, he's one of these guys who he's a fan of Trump, but I think he's a fan of Trump because Trump will help him out as a businessman. Which, okay, that also makes me a fan of Trump because I think Trump's going to make the economy better in the U.S. and in Germany. But Musk is a weird dude. He's a weird dude. I mean, he's a guy who's all about hooking our brains to computers and robots, and I mean, when are we going to get to a point where we're like the fat people, in these hoverboards from that one Pixar movie? And when are we going to get to a point where we're just we're the Matrix? We're vegetables. Don Darius saying so the government can spend more money. At least this isn't the government. I mean, does NASA still exist? I think it kind of does, but they certainly don't seem to be doing much in the way of sending people into space. I think they've kind of said, okay, Musk, go ahead. Okay, Prodeo, we're not going to get into the flat Earth controversy. That is certainly not something that I did not start this podcast today in order to go down that road. So we will not go down that road. But the Earth is not flat. Um. Anyway, even seeing these robots doesn't it kind of creep you out a little bit? Like, there's something cool to it. There really is. But then when you sit back and think, wait, this is real. Like that's not a movie. That's real. Like these things are actually, and they've already taken how many jobs have they already taken over? I mean, that's a problem, I think. And sure, they say, well, you have other jobs that are making the robots. Yeah, okay. Well, what about when you have robots that make the robots? They want us to eat bugs and be happy about it. It's a great question, Mom. Yeah. I wonder what the holy popes of old would say about this, especially the robotics that attach to human brains. Uh, there's no way a true pope would approve of these what transhumanistic ideas. No way. No way. And just the dangers of it, but I mean the dangers of again being hacked. It's one of these things that Elon Musk just doesn't really even mention these things. At least that I don't watch that much of Elon Musk, but you don't hear about the risks. You put a chip in your head, and you're able to I don't know, see the internet or watch TV just with your eyes. Like sci-fi. And what if it gets hacked? You know, right? What if boom, and the control alt delete? Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there are times where I've needed an F5, right? A refresh. That would actually be pretty cool. That would be, I admit, that would be one plus. Just kind of hit an F5 and you go bing. Oh, yeah, okay. My brain's working again. I suppose coffee is for many people their F5. But anyway, yeah, I just it really kind of shocked me when I saw it, and so many people are for it, and everyone loves Elon Musk because not everyone. I know plenty of people hate Trump, so they hate Elon Musk because he hates Trump. Even Catholics, etc. Everyone's don't hate anybody, but everyone can have their opinion on these people. Definitely not moral, that's for sure. But isn't that one of those bizarre things? Isn't that something that we have to Prodeo, I'm gonna block you. I'm just gonna block you if you don't knock it off. We're not getting into the flat earth thing, not even in the comments. So leave it be or you're gone. You're fired. And and you see, you made me lose my train of thought. Thanks a lot. Flat earth ruins everything. You know what I mean? Anyway, no, I think oh, what was yeah, how much we need to appreciate, our Catholic friends and those who we can go to church and hang out after and have good conversations because pretty well that they're going to agree with you on the big things. Maybe they believe the earth is flat. I certainly don't. But as long as they don't start saying that it's blasphemy to deny that, which is absolutely absurd, you can agree on the big things and that's what matters. And that's just you see that when you go out in the workforce or meet with old friends from school or whatever, you see that even if you say you agree politically, let's say you're both like, yeah, okay, I'm a Trump guy, yeah, woo, I'm a Broncos fan and you're a Broncos fan. But then when you actually get talking about things and someone's like, yeah, you see real quick, like after that first layer, okay, okay, you're a Trump guy. What does that mean? Okay, so you like him economically. Okay, sure. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm a Trump guy. Say I'm using bad. Everyone's going to be jumping on me. I got to be careful what I say here. I'm not a Trump guy. I'm just trying to use this as an example. And but then my point is that when you get one layer lower or 5 layers lower or 10, then it's big problems. Quick. Are you pro life? Well, what? Wait, huh? I thought you were conservative. And that's why, again, we got to really thank God that we have Catholic friends. And I hope everyone watching this does. If you don't, find some. And I want to say that too. And it's something that's been on my mind a lot about the whole, politics and voting. And again, I get why people don't vote for Trump. Don't vote for Trump then, but vote, please. Everyone register to vote and vote. It is a civic responsibility, which the church takes very seriously. Now, the church doesn't say you have to vote for Donald Trump. I'm not saying that either. But it's so important that we go out there and vote. Down the ticket for, do some research. What is on the ticket? What are you voting for? And I really can't say enough that the men who are, I'd say 30 or over, need to take that responsibility and take the youngsters with them. Women can do it too, of course. But take that into your own hands and say, look, everybody, we're going to do this together. We're going to carpool. We're going to go vote. And before we vote, we're going to get educated on the issues. Everyone, take these next few Sundays or weekdays, whenever you can, and discuss the local issues. And if that's your sheriff or your school board or your senator, Congress, or Trump, do it, please. You can disagree. Everyone can say, hey, I will never vote for Trump. Again, that's fine. I totally respect that. But let's not sit on our hands and then cry about when things go badly. Physiologist. Boy, it's good to see you, man. It's been a long time. Automatization did not destroy the world before. It's not going to destroy it now. Many jobs have disappeared and have been replaced by new ones. Yeah, that's a fair point. I think that is a valid argument against what I said, that it's going to take jobs. But yeah, okay, true. But I think, again, I do think that these robots have taken jobs from people who could have used them. I think you see that at least in the U.S. I'm sure you see it in Poland too. But maybe here in Germany or across Europe, I think we were just walking through a mall. That's a whole nother story. How crazy is that? I never go to malls. We live in the middle of nowhere, guys. I mean, the middle of the mountains, middle of nowhere. So we don't go to malls. And my kids have never been to a mall, or did they remember? And so they were just totally like, what is going on? This is an indoor mall. And they're just, totally in awe of what's going on. And man, I lost my train of thought again. Good grief. Where was I going with that? Robots. Oh, yeah, there are a lot of stores that were hiring. So, and so, yeah, I guess the question is that because people are lazy? Is it because Germans don't want to do the menial labor of folding clothes and serving pretzels? But I guess, if you have robots that come and take over the pretzel jobs and the folding clothes jobs, then those should be the jobs that like a teenager has, right? 15, 16-year-old. I don't know, just my opinion. Here's a question again. Radtrad. How does it work living in Germany and voting in the U.S. elections? Do you receive a mail-in ballot? Yeah, I have to do that probably after the show or tomorrow. I've had it all online. I think I can even vote online. I have to print it out and fill out the application or the registration and send it in. And it has to be approved and whatnot. I'm not sure yet if I have to send it, but I'll find that out soon. But so far, it's been a really, really easy process. And I actually have to give props to the Colorado voters registration. It's been very easy, and they've been really helpful to make it so to this point. And yeah. All right. I want to see just real quick if my dad or Eric are coming on. Doesn't look like it so far. Mom, is dad available? I suppose not. Yeah, I did this on Dad's Twitter without his approval. Dad, hope you don't mind. One of these ask for forgiveness rather than for permission. Shouldn't do that with your own dad. Sorry, Dan. But good to see. Good to see Physiologus. Again, haven't seen you in a long time. Been off Twitter. Been on a bit lately because it is a really good place to get news. As long as you can block out all the junk. Ugh, it's really terrible. I feel like it's terrible than it used to be. I don't remember that being a huge problem. But I think it's probably because I came back on new, because I was on for a long time, and I was just always in Catholic circles pretty much. I think eventually, I guess the algorithms and the bots know, okay, this guy doesn't want, nudity. And I suppose when you come in new and they see you like sports and stuff, I guess that's a problem, which is, it's so gross. It's a big problem with the internet. Dad's in a meeting. Okay, no problem, Mom. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be on too long. I also want to talk a bit about death, and everyone can ask questions. If you guys want to chat with me about something, it's not like I think people just want to hear my opinions. So I guess you're here for something. But if you want to hear my opinions on anything except for flat Earth, then I'll definitely give them to you. Here we go. Here's a good comment. Here we go. I'll read this one. Vote third party. Okay. But even better than voting, stop sitting on your hands and get active in your local governments. Hold local duly elected sheriff and judge and mayor accountable to their oath. That I could not agree more, except for the third party. But I respect that. I really do. You have to decide what your conscience can allow in voting. That really depends on the person. But yes, 100% vote local, and bring your friends, guys. Really, really, please. I do think Donald Trump's going to win. I think it's going to be a good election. I think a lot of good things are going to be voted in. I'm from Colorado, so that's probably the one state that won't, because, well, that's where all of the as my dad's jumping on. All the potheads are. Hey, Dad. You're joining live. We're doing it live. You hear me, Dad? Not so far. And we'll get Dad's opinions a little bit on these topics briefly. I'm already 30 minutes. That actually went a lot faster than I thought.
There we go. Can you hear
Dad,
me?
oh, we hear you now. Yep. So, Dad, I don't know if you've been able to listen. Have you been able to listen?
No, I really have. I've actually been in a meeting. I just got out.
Got it. So real briefly, have you seen the exhibition that Elon Musk did with the robots and robotic cars and whatnot?
A little. Yeah, it's spooky, and I think that's what a lot of people are saying is that, in fact, it's kind of crazy for a time. We actually tried to start a business, and it was in basically training robot dance, and so we were kind of ahead of the curve there, and it was not a something that was ready for the market yet, and the company failed, but yeah, I mean, going and having these robots starting to be sentient, to start to, I mean, it's like we're living the movie I, Robot.
Yeah.
And that's, obviously what you've got to worry about here is at what point do the robots take over and just decide they don't need people anymore?
Or what point do the people who program the robots, that's always, to me, it's like, I don't worry that much about AI actually like becoming the actual danger. It's like it's like the AI, what are these chat boxes or whatever you see, there are people have proven there are certain things that whoever programs it, does not want it to answer, right? So it's
Sure.
not like people, I think it's kind of a naive way. I'm obviously not saying you're saying that, but a naive way to think. It's like, oh yeah, it's an open thing. The internet is just, it's just open to, no, of course not.
No.
Whoever owns it is telling it to, here are your parameters, and that's, I'm sure how it would be with robots too, right? I would assume
they even if they're artificially intelligent and they're able to put 3 or 4 disparate thoughts together and create a new thought from it, which I guess is probably the essence of artificial intelligence, they still have to start from some baseline, and you can be sure that baseline is going to be some kind of liberal worldview. It's not going to be the worldview of George Washington, and of course you argue about that, but I mean, it's not going to be the worldview of Pope St. Pius V. You can be pretty sure of that. It is probably going to be something that's dangerous. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like I'm not sure that that's necessarily the way I see humanity ending. I almost feel like it could be part of the beast system eventually that our Lord warned about in the apocalypse. But beyond that, I mean, that's about the height of where I think it's likely to really manifest, or else God would have warned us about it. I think it was actually going to exterminate humanity, before our Lord comes a second time, then I think he'd have warned us.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder. I'd actually heard recently the conversation of what's more dangerous in the long run. Is it AI or is it nuclear war? And I think I think I'd lean towards nuclear war. But that's the interesting thing with nuclear war is that there's always that what's the term? That comeuppance. If Russia bombs America with a nuclear bomb, well, Russia's going to get nuked back, and that's obviously not something
Right.
that any leader, unless someone really truly is insane, which maybe that is eventually what happens, I suppose. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Is it nuclear war more dangerous or AI?
Nuclear war is dangerous. I guess, and maybe I'm a little bit naive I'm a little bit naive on a lot of things. Just ask our Twitter friends. But I think when you look at it, nuclear war. I mean, I look at Fukushima in Japan, which really was almost your worst possible situation as far as a nuclear meltdown went. And yeah, there's a lot of poison fish in the Pacific Ocean, but I mean, eventually it's going to come back. You've got Chernobyl, which was also, I mean, that was akin to a nuclear war. And there are forests around Chernobyl that are still, destitute and without life and all that. But the idea that we're going to have a nuclear exchange and we're going to throw 10 bombs at them and they're going to throw 10 bombs at us, and then all of a sudden the entire world is going to be uninhabitable for a million years, I think it's hyperbole. I don't know. I'm not seeing the evidence that it's like an EMP strike, right? I really try. Now I got to say this about the EMP strike. Dominic, or your brother Dominic, who is an electrician, is a big believer in the damage that could be done by an EMP strike, and I look at his knowledge as being greater than mine. But I still really struggle with the idea that a bomb, an electromagnetic pulse, could be set off 50 miles in the air and trash all of my car and my house and all electronics everywhere for a 300-mile radius. I don't see the science. I don't see any evidence that there's a small EMP that I mean, you look at the nuclear testing in the desert around Las Vegas. I mean, they were testing nuclear bombs in Nevada near Las Vegas, 30, 40 miles away. And I mean, I never heard of the power going out in Las Vegas because of it. I never heard of nuclear fallout hitting Las Vegas and destroying the lives of people there. I think a lot of this is exaggerated by people who have a vested interest in, honestly, it's a vested interest in oil and making money off of oil. I think that a lot of your I mean, I have no question myself that nuclear power is the best possible form of power. Mm-hmm. And it's been portrayed as this evil boogeyman because of a couple of we've had a couple of meltdowns, Chernobyl and whatnot. But I think it's verboten because you've got people who make so much money off of extractive energies like oil or coal, and they don't want to give up their power. They don't want to give up their money. And so they, I think, come up with these fantastic notions of here's what's going to happen if we have a nuclear war. Here's what's going to happen when we have a nuclear meltdown and all this kind of thing. And I think it's people, saving their own deep pockets.
Well, it's interesting when it kind of comes full circle back to Elon Musk then, right? Because he's also trying to provide electric cars. And I guess electric cars are another thing that I don't really understand the effectiveness of. I mean, they wanted here in Germany. I mean, Germans are we had a green government here for a bit, and still kind of, and it's pretty ridiculous. But they're saying, I think they were saying by 2030 that we would be off of diesel engines. Maybe it was 2035. I don't know, fairly soon. But everyone's kind of like, well, and you're going to replace it with what? Oh, well, with electric cars. With what grid? I mean,
Right.
where is your power? I mean, you can't just like, oh, hey, yeah, okay, now everyone has car. Oh, it's all electric. Okay, great. Where's the power coming from? And I think that's what I don't understand either. I was listening to Tim Pool the other day, and he's kind of bragging. He's like, yeah, I got this Tesla truck, and I drove it from, I think, where are they, Western Virginia, and drove it from West Virginia to Pennsylvania, which I think a couple hours, right? It can't be much longer than a couple hours. And he's like, yeah, we only had to stop once on the way to fill up on the power. And it's like, wait, really? So, I mean, so pretty much these Tesla cars, can they only drive, I don't know, 100
certain number of
miles?
miles. Yeah, but my understanding is when they power up, you don't go and sit at a power station for like 5 minutes and then just power up. I think it takes hours.
Yeah,
it takes
that's what I
hours
thought too.
for them to power up. So yeah, you had better grow the grid in a way that can make unfathomable amounts of electrical power, or else these electric cars are they're just going to be a problem.
And where does the power come from? And I think this is typical leftist thinking, like the power comes from the cord. You plug it in and then there's power.
Yeah.
Well, where does that come from, Billy?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, it has to be coming from somewhere. And I mean, where? So these big power plants, where is that power coming from? So and I guess sometimes it's from water. I mean, sometimes it's from air. Sometimes I agree with you. I think the best would be nuclear, but they want to get rid of that here in Germany too. They try to get rid of nuclear energy, and I think they have even. I think they have in Germany. Yeah, they're at least working towards it for sure. And I know they were shutting them down. This was again the brilliant Greens. They were shutting it down as they were saying as you're at war with Russia, and as they were saying that it could be one of the worst winters ever. That could, if like one thing goes wrong, the entire system could go down for a day or two, which is just shocking. That again, I guess that goes.
They're not out after your best interest. They're not out after our best interest. I mean, that's
so they're dumb.
They're out after their own agendas.
Yeah. No, it's pretty shocking stuff, and I guess that type of decision is what always befuddles me when it comes to even thinking about politics or the world. It's like, well, why? I mean, you see these things that are happening in Europe and in America, and Dad, I guess I'll ask you. I mean, we'll go a little bit into politics. I actually really don't want the show to be too long. I gotta get going here pretty soon, but I'm absolutely daily. I'm more and more shocked at how bad Kamala Harris's run for president is. I mean, it seems like every day, and I've really tried to not just be in an echo chamber. So I sometimes listen to the Young Turks. I'm trying to listen to people who are not just telling me what I already
Anna Kasparian's getting it. I don't know about Cenk Uygur, but Anna Kasparian's getting it. Yeah.
And even Cenk, I think he's an idiot, but he is a guy who can at least admit things. He can say things that he understands to be true. And I think everyone, except for the true believers or liars, everyone's saying that they're in trouble.
Oh, they're in trouble. Yeah, I actually have gotten real into polling this year. I usually stay away from the polls and don't get into them, but I'm watching, and it's a fascinating world, fascinating dynamic. And what you're seeing happen is basically you've got some legit pollsters out there, and you got some just pure straight up hacks. They call them suppression polls, because what they're meant to do is meant to make sure that the Democrats are presented in as good at a light as they possibly can. The reason they do that is because they know that if the polls start showing Trump +5, there's going to be about a 5% or so of the population that doesn't care who they vote for. They just want to be on the winning side. That's all they care about. And so they're going to see Trump +5, and all of a sudden he's going to move. He's going to go to Trump +10 or Trump +15, almost in an eyelash. That was exactly what was happening right after the Biden debate. That's why they pulled the plug on Biden and moved him in. But the polls are starting to absolutely go to Trump +3, Trump for. And what happens is it's so comical that as soon as you see the Trump +3 poll come out, you're going to see a poll on the other side, Marist or Quinnipiac or CBS or a college or one of these that's just totally without any merit at all. They'll come out with a Kamala Harris +6, right? So then your RC, what everybody likes to quote is it's called the RCP average. It's the Real Clear Politics, and that's they basically take a collection of 10 or 15, and there's a lot of politics behind which polls they look at. But Real Clear Politics looks at a combination of legitimate polls like Rasmussen, Atlas, Rich Ferris, and some of them. And then they also bring in a lot of these suppression polls. And by the end of the day, they end up, making it look like Kamala Harris is
it's a wash. Or she's up by 1. Yeah.
Yeah, but you look at the real hard data. There's a lot of real hard data because the elections actually started. You got early voting going on. And you got Virginia, you got Pennsylvania, you got Wisconsin, you got a number of these states where they've actually mailed out ballots. They've actually gotten ballots back. You've got people lined up, and they've done early voting, and it's all going major red. It's all in Trump's favor. I forget what the state was that I saw today where one of the blue counties of this, it might have been Michigan, one of the bluest counties of this entire state basically isn't even voting. You got these urban, or you've got these remote areas with almost no voters that have actually cast more ballots than the big cities. Wow. And so I mean you got nobody's going to vote for Kamala. You look at your baseline. You look at Barack Obama got 66 million votes in 2008. And I think that was pretty legitimate. There might have been a little bit of padding. There's probably a little bit of fraud or whatnot, but I think that's a good baseline. And you roll forward to 2020, and Biden got 81 million votes allegedly, and darn well that was total fabrication. And I think that if they count the votes right, Kamala Harris is barely going to get 50 million votes, and they'll cheat their way to some more, but people are not really. I don't even see built. It's not built into the polls. You don't see it built into a lot of the analysis. Is that in 2020, the Republican National Committee was still aligned against Trump. They were complicit in the whole thing. Ronna McDaniel, who was in charge, was Mitt Romney's daughter or niece. I forget who it was, but related to Mitt Romney, and they wanted Trump out. So they helped. They just turned a blind eye to the cheating going on with the Democrats. Well, now you've got Lara Trump in. They are winning court cases on little tweaks to take away the cheating. They've got 200,000 volunteers who are trained up and ready to go to the elections and actually sit in on election night. You got 5,000 lawyers who are lined up and ready to go. They know everywhere where they're going to cheat. Darn well in Detroit, they're going to try to shut down the election, the election headquarters at 7 p.m. and they're going to put up sheets on the windows so you can't see in, and they're going to bring all the trucks in with the fake ballots, and the Democrats are going to count them. Well, you've got lawyers. You're going to have lawyers on the ground. You're going to have and you're going to have huge national, not the mainstream media, but you're going to have social media, huge attention on this cheating. And so, it's a totally different world than it was in 2020.
No, I'm with you, Dad. And I think it's gonna go Trump. So I guess my last question for you would be, what do you think changes? I think we both agree that it's probably Trump. Who knows? But it probably is Trump. So what's going to change? What do you think will actually be different under Trump than under Biden or Harris?
Well, I think day one, you just listen to his words. On day one, he's going to start drilling. He's going to open up drilling. He's going to draw. He says he's going to cut energy prices in half. He will. It won't be that hard because all you got to do is just open up the Keystone Pipeline again and start drilling our own oil. We were energy independent under Trump, and I think we'll become energy independent again. We'll start selling some of that energy overseas and start paying down our debt. So, you got that. He'll make changes in the tax code, no tax on tips. No tax on overtime. That's a huge one. I know, again, your brother Dominic, when he came out and announced that it went through his work like wildfire, because these are electricians and they work a lot of overtime. And basically, by the time they get taxed on overtime, they make less than they do on a regular hour because the tax rate's so high. So you do away with taxes on overtime, it's going to have a huge impact on productivity.
I just liked how Kamala came out like the next day, and she's like, no, we're doing that. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
It showed you how good of an idea it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got, he's going to give a lot of autonomy to RFK Jr., make America healthy again.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And I don't think they're going to go straight. I mean, it's not like they're going to go and start outlawing Dr. Pepper and things like that, but they are going to look at basically, Kevin, they're going to look at a lot of reforms that have already been made in Germany and France, about a lot of the additives, about a lot of the chemicals, about Monsanto, and a lot of these things that Germany and France have already outlawed. Yeah. And I think we'll start outlawing them and start making our people healthy again. But really, I think that the big one for me, and I think this is not going to take long, although he's got to time it carefully, but he's already come out and said that early in his next term, he's going to be doing a lot of declassification. He is going to let us know who killed JFK, who killed, who pulled off 9/11, and he's going to declassify a lot of these things that have been kept from us. And I'll just say that I think when he does that, it's going to point the finger to a group that will get banned by mentioning, and then things really get interesting, and we'll just see where it goes from there.
It really is interesting that I'm reading a book about the kings and queens of England back in the 1200s, and it's a couple of fascinating things because it's the same people have been in issues for a couple thousand years. I mean, they always do the same thing.
Our Lord overturned their tables, and it's the same group.
It doesn't change. It's just one of those crazy things that it's like, yeah, it's pretty much the same. And what blew me away, and I should have taken a picture of this while I was reading, but they're like, and then the kings are going to war with France or whoever, and they levied a tax of, I forget what it was. I think it was 10% or 15% on all goods. I think it was, or something like that. And the people were revolted. They're like, God, you can't. What are you doing? You're going to ruin our lives. You're killing us. We're starving. And I'm thinking, 10%. But
10%, yeah.
That sounds pretty good. It's pretty wild.
10%, yeah.
Right. Well, and I think that it's one of those things that we're so docile. We're so probably dumb, really, that we're just like, oh yeah, of course, I lose 40% of my paycheck to taxes. I mean, it's an absolute absurdity, and I think honestly, here it's even dumber because we get taxed. And I don't know. I shouldn't misspeak because I don't understand how all the taxing works. Any Europeans explain it to me, but I know, I'm sure some of our money is going to the EU, right? I mean, some of our money is going to Greece and Turkey, and please tell me how that makes any sense whatsoever. The whole globalistic idea is so ridiculous, and I hope, and that's what I kind of, you see it. You see if he audits the Fed, let me just jump in because I actually put a post out on X to this effect today, and Don here is he's exactly right. I don't think it's even audit the Fed. I think the Fed is currently, as we speak, they're bankrupt. They're basically printing money in order to just survive from one day to the next. They're bankrupt. And I think what he does, he comes in, the Fed's going to come to him and ask for trillions of dollars of government. It's a really complicated the way it works, but he wants trillions of dollars worth of government spending and government money. He's going to say no. He's basically going to allow the Fed to shut down, and he's going to take, and I think he's going to replace dollars as we know them with two things. Number one, he'll have, I think, a certain amount of Federal Reserve notes, not Federal Reserve, Treasury notes that instead of being given to us by bankers, is going to be given us to by the government. But I think more importantly, as a core medium exchange, he's really throwing in on Bitcoin, Trump is. And so I think he's going to set up a system. It may not be Bitcoin itself, but he's going to have some kind of blockchain, untrackable,
unhackable, computer-oriented way of being able to do transactional exchanges. And everybody thinks, oh, it's mark of the, no, it's not mark of the beast, because nobody controls it, right? You control your own money. Nobody else controls. Now, if you lose it, but nobody else controls it. And so that, I think, as opposed to auditing the Fed, I think he's actually going. I mean, Dan's right, or Don's right there, but I think he's going to go a step further than that.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. It'll be interesting to see. I certainly hope it's Trump, just for the fact that I would rather hear him talk and see what he has to say. He is also a funny guy, but I just Kamala. But I guess that was my original point. Like, I don't get it. Like why did they pick her? And I heard someone say today, maybe it was Tim Pool, somebody said, it's like, it only makes sense that they knew they were going to lose, and they just put in people who they just didn't care if they got torched and lost their entire careers. And that was Harris, and that's Waltz, and that just I don't get it. Otherwise, I mean Waltz is an actual weirdo, and it's so funny that these Republicans are weirdos. He's a weirdo. I mean,
he's weirdo.
Maybe he's a really nice guy. I mean, he has terrible policy, so he's evil. He is evil. So I shouldn't say he's a nice guy. My point being, the way he does things is weird. His tics, and it's very strange. And Kamala is just annoying. It's just like, these are the best you could do. And I think it has to be. They just said, nope, we ain't winning this year.
Well, they've got no talent. They've got no real talent. Nobody want to stand in front of the Trump train. But let me just pose this one, and I'll have to say it in a way that doesn't get us kicked off of YouTube again. But basically, what if they were looking at the Democrats were looking at Michelle Obama, because she was the rock star. She was the one that had the name recognition that the Democrats would have rallied about, could have at least read off a teleprompter and been better presented than Kamala Harris. She would have had a chance of winning. What if Trump went to Barack Obama under a white flag and said, listen, Barack, we got it all. And if she gets the position, we're letting it all out. And it's not only going to wreck her, it's going to wreck you and your entire legacy. And so the Democrats said, okay, maybe not, we'll just go with Kamala and let it go. But that's kind of the way I'm seeing it, is that there was some reason behind the scenes that they didn't go with Michelle Obama, because she had the biggest name recognition and probably honestly could have won.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And it just brought to mind, who is the governor, I think, of Michigan, Whitmer. Did you see that thing today?
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk.
Mocking the church.
I can't even, I don't even want to talk about it, really. I think I'm not even going to say what she did, but she mocks, blasphemes the Eucharist. I mean, I don't think there's any other way to look at it.
Well,
and I just don't like that. It's like, I understand she's evil. I understand she's probably a Satanist. She is a horrible person, but she has to be dumb. Like, why would you do that?
Why would you do that? Why would you announce that and everything? I
dumb and evil.
Understand.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. But you get, I'll tell you what, you get these communists. I mean, and Trump's come out and called Kamala a communist, and she hasn't even denied it. I mean, she hasn't even said, no, I'm not a communist. And it would have been funny if she had said I'm not, and Trump had said, okay, explain to me one difference between your beliefs and Castro's beliefs, because she couldn't have come up with one. But if you look at Castro in Cuba, you look at Stalin, Lenin in Russia, you look at Calles in Mexico, what did they do? They murdered the priests, okay? That's what communists do. You get Kamala in there, and that's what they're going to do. They start out mocking the sacraments, but they're going to make the Bible, they're going to make the Bible hate speech, or turn it into hate speech, and they're going to kill the priests, because that's what communists do.
And Dad, I would seriously, even before today, I think I may have thought you're being hyperbolic, but after seeing that video, it's like,
no,
they're evil. They
are.
They hate us. They hate Catholicism. They hate God. And wild. That just blew me away. I would not recommend anyone look it up at all, but it's incredible. These people are awful. They are awful, evil people. So again, another reason to go and vote. Vote. Please vote. Bring your friends to vote. Become, aware of what you're voting for. Do it together. And I tell you, Dad, I know you would agree with me. however big your parish is, ask your priest if you can do a men's meeting, even if it's just once. Do a men's meeting, get together, talk it out, say, hey, we live in Omaha, we live in wherever, here is what is on the voting platform. I can't think of the word. And here's what we're voting for, and let's discuss it. And I think that everyone should be doing that. And it's a good thing. There's so many young men and women. So again, I shouldn't just say men. I mean, women too. I mean, women are going to vote. So we need to get them educated and aware of what exactly is being voted on. So please, everyone, do that. Even if and don't tell me that's like, oh yeah, look, I'm from Colorado. Colorado's not going to go red. I mean, it might be like we may have every state in the U.S. go red except for Colorado. That's how dumb Colorado is. That is almost legitimately possible. But that doesn't mean you just, okay, then I'm just going to stay home. That's ridiculous. I think that's absolutely absurd. Because again, as someone mentioned earlier, maybe it's your sheriff, maybe it's your mayor or whatever that you really need to take it very seriously.
Historically, only 30 to 40% of Christians, and this is not just Catholics, but all Christians, have voted in elections. All right. And yet we sit around and we complain about, look at how bad the government is. Well, because you don't vote. And, and this has been going on for decades now. And if 80 or 90% of Christians had voted going all the way back to the 40s, guess what? We would have a Christian in office. We'd probably have Christ the King built into our Constitution by now if even 90% of Christians had voted.
I'm with you. And I mean, just imagine too. I mean, Whitmer, I don't know when she's up for re-election. I don't know. I don't think this year, maybe 2 years. So whenever that comes, she'll probably get in, right? Yeah. She's probably going to get in because again, most people don't know or care. And again, because you're Catholics and you're Christians, they say, oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Guys,
there's a guy out there named Jesse Kelly. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. And he's not the greatest voice. He can be a little bit crude, but he's one. His big thing is that where we really, really stumble as Christians is that we don't get out. We're terrible at voting in primaries. All right. We don't get it. And most of the time, a lot of the time, you're going to have primaries where you have a really good, solid Christian up against an establishment Republican who's terrible. And we don't get out and vote. So guess what? The establishment Republican wins the primaries. And then we have to get to the main election. We have to decide, do we want to support this, establishment Republican, which we don't want to do because they're usually terrible. It's because we didn't get out and vote in the primaries. Right. And that's another shame. It's a shame on us. We have the numbers that we could make this happen, and we don't do it.
Yeah, and I see comments saying, that voting doesn't help her. And again, it's such a defeatist mentality, and I'm no fan of a constitutional republic or a democracy. If I had my druthers, sure, I would love a Catholic monarchy. Bring it on. I love that idea. Sure, sounds great. You know what? It's not reality. Right. The reality is we are in a democracy, at least in what we think is it, that we do actually have a vote that counts, and I think that you do see that some places. Now, I think, Dad, you make a great point that we see it less and less, or we don't see it often. We don't see actually good candidates get anywhere because we're not involved. We're not aware of the primaries. We're not aware of who's running until it gets to be Trump versus Kamala, and then it's like, oh well, shoot. Oh, I hate both of them. It's like, well, yeah, that makes sense. But again, it's because we let it get to that point because we didn't care. We weren't involved, and we're one of these, head in the mud. Oh, everything's so bad, and I just can't handle
got a good line there. I'm right in Taylor Marshall, and it's kind of I wish Taylor Marshall. I don't know why he didn't end up running through. Maybe he just looked at he must have looked at what he was up against in terms of raising money and selling yourself out and things like that, and just said, no, I don't want to do this for myself or for my family. I get that, but if you want to write in Taylor Marshall, and that's the point you want to make, and you want to vote for sheriff down ticket, and you want to vote against, Conte's in California, and it's a real referendum-oriented state. They have a lot of referendums out there. Go through the referendums and vote conservative on those. At least you can say, hey, I did something. I did something to try to make a difference. And now, this is California he's talking about. It's a pretty lost state. But doesn't mean it always has to be.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I think California even starts to lean a bit more to the right as well. And I think you see it again. You see it around Europe too. There is a movement. It's really splitting it, like, half and half. It's just amazing that it's half the people are going kind of traditionalists, populist, and the other half are going bonkers, green, tree hugging.
Yeah.
Let's go fly a kite for the rest of our lives, and it's pretty bizarre. And I think we discussed this before, that it's pretty clearly split between men and women. I mean, it's another one of those bizarre things. So it's another one of those things that we need to make sure we have a true Catholic family, right? We need strong men, strong women getting together and having a marriage, and helping each other out when it comes to voting as well. Being there for each other, and especially the men, because it's absolute fact around the world, the women voting is causing the biggest issues. That's factual.
Problem, yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, they're the ones who are voting for Kamala Harris.
And to a large degree, I mean, it's. I think you have to say it's women failing, men failing, women failing, men failing, women. I mean, it's all in. You can't just blame the women, right?
No, I'm just blaming like their actual vote. I mean, why we came to where we are. I'd say it's more men, because men have led it, and men have done nothing. Men have been pathetic. Yeah. But I guess my point is that the actual vote being cast is
the women.
It is the women.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. I would say the actual fault, I'd say much more, and it lies with both, but I'd say more lies with men who just that, women want to take over society, and we can be lazy and do nothing and not care about anything and watch sports all day and be fat and lazy. Okay.
It's what happens when you societally basically walk away from the preciousness and the sanctity of marriage, and you just allow free sex. You allow basically anything goes, and the family breaks down, and it just, men can kind of live a relatively normal. I mean, you're still going to get a job. You're going to have a lot of your same. Women, you just absolutely get hung out to dry. And I mean, it's their fault to a certain degree, but it's not their fault. And
sure, totally.
Yeah, I mean, we've men have failed the women, and women have failed the men. So yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely. And again, I think that's something that I think is healing. I think it is getting better, but it's wild. I mean, I think we talked about that last week. It's a crazy thing that the liberals are going to die off because they don't have babies. They murder them all, and so it's going to be Muslims and Catholics. So it's going to be a pretty interesting world here.
As long as we as Catholics don't turn our children over to those who want to corrupt them and turn them liberal, that's our big danger.
Yeah,
we've got to create their sense of morality ourselves and not outsource it.
Absolutely. Well, Dad, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Everyone, thanks a lot for being in the comment section. Eric, no problem that you couldn't come. Maybe next week will work. It's going to be crazier and crazier as we go. No question about that as we get closer to the elections. But I think also maybe in a good way. Who knows? I guess we'll see what what the surprises are going to be. I think it's not over yet. That's for sure. And I'm not saying I'm not convinced. Yeah.
October started out crazy, but it's actually gotten less crazy.
Yeah.
I expect a lot crazier by now. So maybe we'll get through and get to the election, and maybe a few Trump wins, a few bricks thrown through windows, and a few cop cars on fire, and then we'll call it good.
So I got a couple things also to mention, everyone. We're going to have a live show next Saturday I have to think about it, at 3 p.m. Eastern time with Bishop Nkamake and two of the priests from Nigeria. We're going to talk about their missions. There's always something going on in Nigeria. They're incredible. I think they have something like 25 missions now or something, a couple schools. They're building churches. Really, really
they're incredible.
Awesome stuff. I love them. I love having them on every time. They'll also be there to answer your questions. And we're also especially doing it to raise money for them and their missions. They rely a lot on money coming over from the States, from Europe. So that will be primarily to raise money for them, but also so that they can answer your questions. So I just ask if anyone wants to come and ask them a question, that you also donate to them. So, if it's $10, $100, whatever it is, that would be really helpful. And it's going to be a great show because they're all so fantastic. They're so humble and nice, but intelligent. I really love them. Every time I have them on, it reminds me. It's funny that I'm going to have to tell them this next week, but I was mentioning, I think I did a show with Father Ojeka, and I was telling Ina, I was like, I just love them so much. She's like, Kevin, you always worry me that you're going to want to go to Nigeria for our next vacation time. It's like, well, I'm not there yet, but maybe at some point. But that'll be next Saturday. I have a show coming up soon with Intro Ebo. It's going to talk about Feeneyism, the occultism of Feeneyism. This is going to be good. So everyone stay tuned for that.
Good. Yeah.
It's going to be really good. Everyone knows that he does his research, and not everyone loves him, but you have to love the way he approaches things. At least I do. I appreciate that he doesn't just talk off the top of his head like I do. He does his research, and we all know that we're no fan of Feeneyites here.
Fatima Conference going on now, and probably our programming over the next 3 or 4 weeks is going to be Fatima Conference heavy. We've been doing Sunday shows. I've been doing basically vintage type shows, old cassette tapes. I think we're going to switch over back to some more regular programming. So we'll have some Fatima Conference for a while, and then probably some regular sermons, and then maybe in the winter, spring, pick back up on the vintage again. But anybody, if you want to be edified, watch those Fatima Conferences. They're awesome.
I haven't seen. I just saw there's one from Father Gabriel about apostolicity. So
apostolicity, that's a big one.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great.
One that people have asked for. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's Chris Jackson from he's a big voice on Twitter, and he's been kind of asking for that for a long time because he's got exceptions to apostolicity in the Sedative Conscious movement. And Father Gabriel's been promising to send something, and it's like, okay, here it is. And I haven't watched it yet, but I'm excited to watch it.
Cool. Yeah, no, that'll definitely be good. And I have to shout out. We've said this before, but St. Anthony Padua Rad Trad. We don't have your link. You want to post your link in the comments here, and go check him out. He's had some really good interviews lately with Bishop De Silva recently, Bishop Bois from Canada, and Bishop Espina a couple months ago. So good stuff. He's kind of competition, which I don't appreciate. I don't know why am I shouting this guy? What is my problem here?
Bring him on so we can crush him.
I want to. Yeah, exactly. Either crush him or make him join us.
That's right.
St. Anthony Padua Catholic family. That's going to be, the name's going to be a little bit longer,
a bit too long. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but no, go check his stuff out. We do have to do a simulcast one of these days. We've said that before. We have to do a simulcast. I want to get on all of the major truly Catholic podcasters and do a stream. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Fantastic. WM Review, Father Zepeda, Mario. I mean, there are so many of them. That'd be just a fantastic hour.
I would even have on Stephen Heiner if he wants to. Stephen, if you're listening, I'm sure you are. You are also invited to come on that show. Of course, from True Restoration or Alexander, who might still be running it. I'm not honestly sure. But anyway, we do want to do that sometime in the future. And I also was thinking about doing a live stream during the elections. So guys, let me know what you think about that. I don't know if it's going to work. First of all, it's going to
be brutal for you because it's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. It's going to be 3 o'clock in your morning.
What was wild though is that it actually worked in 2020. I woke up, I think at 4 a.m. or something, and then that was actually when all the things were happening. So I was actually watching live the insanity that happened, where they stole the election. I mean, you could see. You could actually watch, because that would have been late night your guys' time. It was early morning my time, and I was sitting there watching on my phone. I was like, "What is happening?" Because it was a big Trump lead. I don't know if everyone remembers, or not big. I shouldn't say, but he was winning, and it was like, "Okay, yep, Trump's got this." And then it was just like within minutes, it felt like it was like boom. Change. You even see the spikes. You just go, there come the votes. Oh, it was wild. Yeah.
No, I think this time around, I mean, it's heading towards the first state to report. Besides, I think you got a couple of little ones like Indiana, parts of Kentucky, I think. But basically, the first state to report is Virginia, and I think Virginia's going to go Trump. And within 30, 40 minutes, or within an hour or two, they're going to call it, and ball game over. Go to bed early. I mean, I really think it's too big to rig. They're not going to be able to cheat. There's just and the Republicans have already cut out a lot of the cheating.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Dave. Well, and I guess that'd be good news for me that I might actually be able to sleep. But I think I'm going to ask off. What day of the week is the election day? I actually don't even know.
Tuesday.
So then I'd have to ask. Actually, that works. I'm usually off on Wednesday. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And Eric just texted me and said he would love to come on. Maybe we can have a revolving door of guests coming on talking about what's happening. I know not everyone cares. I know it's not everyone's thing. And guys, I sincerely understand that. I understand that not everyone likes politics, doesn't want to hear it. but please, and I've had some people comment, they complain about it. It's like, I thought this was called Catholic Family Podcast. First of all, the point is we are a Catholic family with a podcast. That at least was what it's not like this is a podcast that has to have Catholic material all the time. And we want to have an edifying material that is, of course, never questionable, but it's not always about catechism or theology. But I do go look through our videos. 95 to 99% of it is feast day quick takes. It's Catholic material. It's very Catholic. And sometimes we talk politics. If you don't like it, you can seriously just skip it. It's totally fine. I really understand. I really get why you're just like, hey, I don't want to hear it. Fine.
We've tried to build a footprint that is really, really diverse, all the way from Monday Morning with You and Matt to Holly and Mandy to Dominic Higaso, who's out on his own place, and then it's just it's so broad. It's everything's not going to appeal to everybody. Absolutely.
Davis Family Podcast Empire. You know it. That's one of these days. One of these days, we're going to be so big that I'm going to run for president and earn a couple extra million subscribers. Votes. I suppose. I am old enough now. I'm old enough. I just became old enough this year to run for president. So we'll see. A couple 100,000 more followers. I'd have to move back to the States, and then you guys, you can write me in. Yeah, you can write me in this year. How does that work? Can you write? How does that actually work? Do you have to be a public figure to write somebody in? I actually don't know how that works. Can you just write anybody?
Count it.
True. Oh well, you guys can. If you vote for me, let me know. If you write me in, let me know. I'd appreciate it. And guys, if you can, if you like these shows, please support us on Patreon. It really is one of those amazing things that if you support us, $5 a month, it's actually really helpful.
The average is actually about $7.
Yeah. So, and we have some huge supporters that have really kept us afloat and kept us going this whole time. But it really is, the more we get, the more we can do.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad, they have plans. They would love to go up to Spokane, spend time there too. Oh, there goes my camera. I'm still here. They would love to go up to Spokane and get a lot of material for the big projects that we have in mind. But everyone has to understand these big projects. They take a lot of time.
They're big.
Lot of time. They're really big, like really monumentally big.
Well, maybe do a show. We'll do a show at one point about what we're thinking about with Indefectible. It's gargantuan, and I think it would be paradigm changing.
Yeah, and I think I could say fairly that the idea, in a sentence, the idea is to do a Ken Burns type production about the Catholic Church since
about 1910
Fatima, since around Fatima, and to tell all the stories as best we can in a Ken Burns type way, where we're telling it through the eyes of the people who lived it, through also narration, through photographs, etc. But it's monumental.
Yeah.
We've done a few Dad has done a few projects, and it's taken months, and that is like a, what would you say, Dad? A little, maybe 1% type of a thing of what we actually want to do.
I'm going to probably have to retire to make it really work, and I'm not quite there yet, but
so everyone, donate $1 million.
$1 million, $1 million, we could probably get this done. Yeah,
right. No worries. Say to Picante, I'm sure you got the $1 million hiding somewhere in your backyard. So, but seriously though, we have these big projects that we want to do. We're working on, and it would help to have more support. And it really, $5 is awesome. It's enough, and hopefully that's something that some people can afford. $2 is also great. And we understand if you don't have it, obviously fine. If you'd rather give it to True Restoration or give it to the church, obviously that's obviously
just don't give it to Disney.
Don't give it to Amazon. Don't give it to Disney. Don't give it to Starbucks. Give it to, and again, someone like Dominic Higaso,
right?
People who are really just
Dominic's actually trying to live off of his work. So I mean,
go buy books from Dominic, for goodness sake, and they're awesome. Right. They're so good. He's so talented, and it's one of those things. He tried to make money, making kids cartoons, and they're awesome. My kids watch them all the time. They just didn't get support for them because Catholics are kind of cheap, to be quite honest. But not you guys listening to this, everyone else. But no, please support us. Please support all the Catholics who are doing their best to create good content, because, well, it's hard to find and it's hard to do. So, Dad, thank you. We might be back next Friday with Eric. We'll have to see. if Eric can join us. And again, next Saturday, don't forget, everyone, mark this on your calendars. It's going to be a really good one. Saturday, live show with Bishop Nkamake, Father Ojeka, and Father Okerulu at 3 p.m. Eastern time next Saturday. That'll be a live stream. So please be ready with your questions for them as well as your money. Till then, everybody, God bless.